Daizawa, thank you for joining us. Here are the weekly highlights from Arakan. Hundreds of thousands flood-stricken as severe inundation batters 8 townships in Arakan State. Junta airstrikes killed 3 civilians, injured 2 in Gwa Township. Disease outbreak leaves 2 dead, dozens ill in Mrauk-U Township. Floods submerge Mrauk-U IDP camp, leaving over 200 displaced people in need of emergency aid. ULA invites medicine import tenders to strengthen healthcare services in Arakan State. Junta warships patrol Thandwe coast, raising local fears. For more than 2 years, the landscapes of Arakan State have known little rest. As the Arakan Army continues its sustained offensive against the Myanmar military junta, the rhythm of daily life remains deeply intertwined with the realities of conflict. From the week of July 6 to 12 of 2026, beyond the front lines, we bring you the essential stories, key regional updates, and quiet moments of resilience defining Arakan right now. Hundreds of thousands as severe inundation batters 8 townships in Arakan State. Continuous, relentless rainfall since the beginning of July has triggered catastrophic flooding across at least 8 townships in Arakan State, including Chowdo, Mrauk-U, Mambra, Bonajan, Rakhine, and Mountdo, leaving hundreds of thousands of local residents flood-stricken. The severe monsoonal deluge has affected more than 100,000 people across the region, although floodwaters began to gradually recede in some areas starting July 12. Numerous low-lying communities remain heavily submerged as of July 13. Displaced and flood-stricken victims are currently facing acute humanitarian crisis with urgent, desperate needs for temporary shelter, emergency food supplies, tarpaulins, medicines, and clean drinking water. While the Arakan Army and local civil society organizations are actively executing rescue operations and distributing emergency relief aid in the flood-affected zones, the scale of the disaster has left humanitarian needs overwhelmingly high. The violent water currents accompanying the rapid flooding have also resulted in multiple fatalities. As of July 13th, at least 7 individuals have been confirmed drowned, while several others still remain missing. In addition to the human toll, the flooding has devastated residential areas, submerged vast swaths of agricultural farmlands, and shattered critical infrastructure, including roads and bridges. The destruction has completely cut off land transportation links to several rural villages, leaving trapped residents facing severe shortages of food and clean water. This catastrophic event follows similar severe weather patterns from last year, when heavy monsoonal downpours triggered prolonged, widespread flooding across Arakan State. Last year's disaster caused massive socio-economic losses, including numerous human casualties, the deaths of hundreds of cattle, the destruction of homes, and the complete devastation of vital paddy crops. Junta airstrikes killed 3 civilians, injured 2 in Gwa Township. 3 civilians, including a toddler, were killed and 2 others were seriously injured after a junta airstrike on a village in Gwa Township, Arakan State, on Friday morning, according to local residents. The regime used a jet fighter to drop 2 bombs on Kalendich in Gwa Township at around 10 a.m. on July 10th, targeting residential areas. The attack killed 3 villagers at the scene: 3-year-old Potale, 53-year-old Unyamau, and 57-year-old Domamale. The 2 injured civilians are receiving urgent medical treatment after suffering serious injuries in the bombing. The report said the regime also conducted additional airstrikes on other locations in Gwa Township on Friday. While information about further civilian casualties and property damage is still being verified, human rights activists condemned the airstrike, saying the military junta is committing war crimes by bombing civilian areas, while local residents in Gwa Township are already facing severe monsoon flooding and recovering from a recent devastating tornado. Disease outbreak leaves 2 dead, dozens ill in Mrauk-U Township. Dengue fever and malaria outbreaks have hit Waithali village in Mrauk-U Township, Arakan State, leaving 2 people dead and nearly 1 others suffering from severe fever, according to local residents. The victims were identified as 28-year-old Majiji Wen, who died of dengue fever on July 8th, and 38-year-old Do Umyaden, who died on July 9th. Both reportedly died while receiving medical treatment after suffering from high fever for about 4 days. Residents said villagers began falling into June, and numbers of people with severe symptoms has increased in recent days. With illness spreading throughout the village, residents are calling on health authorities to inspect the village and provide urgent assistance. Medical sources said dengue fever is transmitted through mosquito bites. Early symptoms include sudden high fever, severe headache, body aches, nausea, vomiting, loss of appetite, and skin rashes. Although dengue fever is most common among children, it can affect people of all ages. Similar outbreaks have also been reported in other parts of the region. At least 5 people have reportedly died from malaria and dengue fever in the Pondashang area of Mrauk Township. Floods submerged Mrauk-U IDP camp, leaving 200 displaced people in need of emergency aid. Continuous heavy rain across Arakan State have triggered flooding at the Gwa Twsp camp in Mrauk Township, forcing more than 200 internally displaced persons, IDPs, to evacuate to safer areas and leaving them in urgent need of emergency assistance, according to local residents. Floodwaters at the Gwa Twsp camp have risen to between 4 and 5 feet, submerging nearly the entire camp. About 80 households, comprising more than 200 IDPs, are now in urgent need of food assistance and emergency shelter. As conditions continue to worsen, elderly people, young children, and pregnant women have been temporarily relocated to nearby villages, monasteries, and schools. Camp residents said immediate rescue efforts are needed, along with emergency supplies, including food and clothing. Heavy monsoon rains have crossed Arakan State since early July, causing flooding in Chauto, Mrauk-U, Mambra, Rakhine, Bonajun, Balawa, Dango, and Mrauk-U Twsp. The Gwa Twsp camp shelters people displaced by conflict in Thandwe and Bonajun townships. Many have been unable to return home and have remained displaced for nearly 3 years. Displaced by the ongoing conflict in Arakan State, many residents now face renewed hardship as seasonal flooding compounds their needs. ULA invites medicine import tenders to strengthen healthcare services in Arakan State. The Department of Public Health under the United League of Arakan has invited licensed pharmaceutical companies and pharmacies to open tenders to supply medicine for the 2026 to 2027 fiscal year as it seeks to strengthen healthcare services in Arakan State. According to the department, the medicines will be distributed to district, township, station, and rural hospitals and clinics across Arakan State. Tender documents will be available from June 22nd to July 31st, while samples of the proposed medicines must be submitted by July 31st. Residents of Arakan State continue to face medicine shortages. Much of the medicine currently used in the state is imported from India and Bangladesh. Healthcare services in Arakan State also continue to face challenges due to Junta airstrikes on hospitals and clinics. Medical workers say shortages of medicines, surgical equipment, and emergency life-saving supplies have delayed treatment for patients in emergency situations. Junta warships patrol Thandwe coast, raising local fears. At least 4 Junta warships have been moving in waters off the coast of Thandwe Township and surrounding areas, raising concerns among local residents. According to local sources, the 4 naval vessels sailed north from the Ayeyarwady coast along the Gwa coastline on July 8th and are currently patrolling waters near Mrauk-U Beach and Napoli Beach in Thandwe Township. Observers said the naval forces could be heading to reinforce junta positions in the ongoing Chapul conflict or maybe operating near the Thandwe coast to intimidate local residents. The Arakan Army previously said the military junta, which has lost many outposts and bases across the region, has repeatedly carried out airstrikes and naval artillery attacks on civilian areas in Gwa Township, which is also under the control of the Arakan Army. The presence of the warships near the Thandwe coast has left coastal residents about possible artillery attacks. Everyone in junta warships might fire heavy artillery shells. Because of this, coastal communities are staying alert. Fortunately, no shelling has occurred so far, another resident said. The military junta has frequently used naval vessels to launch heavy artillery attacks on Gwa and Thandwe townships in southern Arakan State, according to locals. Residents said the regime has used its naval presence to intimidate areas where it has lost control. These are the main highlights of the past week in Arakan. May all people of Arakan and the world stay healthy and safe.